Joe Oliver, hey, congratulations on your new film, Burt.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
thank you for having us. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you know
yeah.
what? It's not a problem. You guys done a wonderful job, especially for this indie film. But more of a congratulations is being showcased at Cinequest this year, which is one of the most prestigious film festivals around the world. How do you guys feel about that?
We're stoked, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really excited. Really excited mainly, obviously it's a great film festival, but also we haven't really showed the movie to anyone, especially an audience. So I think it'll be exciting to see it with an audience, see how people respond to it, and we're so close to it. So I think that'll be the most exciting part for me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. We want to, yeah, exactly. Fill the audience. And we're really proud of the movie, and we'll talk about it with you here in a moment. But yeah, we're really proud. And yeah, I have a bunch of family and friends flying in this weekend. As you know, we're screening on Sunday at 2 p.m. at Cinequest. We're thrilled to have our big world premiere on Sunday. I have a bunch of family and friends flying in, and this is going to be really special for us to finally see this hard work on the big screen.
Well said, well said. Well, let me ask that obligatory question. People who are familiar with the film probably know, but where the original idea came from? What sparked this story?
Yeah. Albert, you want to take it?
Yeah. So Joe and I had, we've been making films for a long time, shorts and features. This is our second feature, but we've made a lot of short films over the years, and we had both of us really like the idea of working with, we mix real actors, or not real, not to say that they're fake actors, but we mix professional actors with non-actors, and we really love like the texture of real people in our movies. And so Joe and I had both separately known Burt Berger, who's the star of our movie, hence the title Burt. It's sort of loosely based on his real life, and we had met him. I had met him playing music when I was doing stand-up comedy 15 years ago when I first moved to LA. Joe had met him playing music at a restaurant, and we kind of both. I forget how we kind of came together. It's been a while now. Forget how we both were like, "Oh, Bert's amazing." Maybe we both had gone to the restaurant together. I'm like, "Oh, you know Bert? I love Bert." Blah blah blah. And we were at that time we were doing around that time we were doing a short film, and I was like, who would be really interesting? Bert and Joe, Joe and I both really being into the idea of using non-actors. Or we were like, yes, he'd be perfect for this. We got really excited about that. And when the short film is called Another Cancer Movie that we made came out, he was kind of the star of it, even though he was really a side character in the thing. But he just everyone would be like, who is that guy? Like, he's so interesting. What's his story? And so over the years, that was maybe 5, 10 years, 7 years ago now when we did that short film. Over the years, we've always been like, what's this, Burt movie? What are we gonna do with Burt? We got to make a movie with him. He's getting older. His music is so beautiful. Also, on top of being a really interesting, just sweet and the most genuine human being you've ever met. We were just like, what's that movie? And we finally kind of cracked it and wrote this movie about him. And it's loosely based on his real life, but there's also some fictional elements to it. And he's so fantastic in the movie, and it really showcases him, his music, and he's also happens to be going through Parkinson's disease, and it's but what I don't know if it was our intention going into the movie, but it really, after his performance and kind of came out when we were making it, is he's so positive about beating Parkinson's and not letting it affect his music. And he's the ultimate dreamer, like to be 70 years old and still dreaming of a career in music and like never being, beaten down by rejection. And it's a really, I think he's just a really beautiful personification of what it is to be an artist.
Well, that's all our time, but thank you so much for listening.
Sorry.
And that was great, Albert. That was
I go.
really,
I kind of lost. I kind
that
of
was a lot of good stuff there.
yeah. You kind of need it for with him. That's all I'll say. Joe, go ahead. Take the rest.
How about this? What did you guys say to Bert to convince him to be part of a movie? Because people without acting experience, you have to convince them somehow or pitch it
Totally.
somehow to for
Totally.
them to actually participate, especially into an indie project.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, so, we've had some practice, like Oliver said, because our first feature was with Oliver and his aunt, who's never acted before, Aunt Becca. So we had to learn how to pitch her to be like, hey, star in this movie with Oliver. So we already had some practice. So when it came time to do the short, like Oliver said, another cancer movie, we drove to Malibu where Burt plays music at the restaurant. We say, hey, man, you don't really know us that well, but we love you. Can we talk to you in the parking lot? So he's like, yeah, what's up, guys? And so we go out there like, hey, we're doing this short film, and we think there's a great role for you. Would you want to do some acting? He's like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. I've done some commercials or audition for some stuff. And so like he did the short and he loved it, and we paid him $100. He's like, oh, $100, let's do it. And so he was such a beautiful soul and beautiful spirit about it that we met like probably every 6 months for like 5 years after that. He'd come over to my house. We'd, smoke some weed, he played some music, the whole shebang. And I got to know this guy's life story, and Oliver and I got to know this guy's life story. And like Oliver said, we had to bring this guy to the screen. And so we wrote like a few different versions over the years. Like there was one version of this, one version of that, but we knew that Oliver and Burt playing father son was the way to do this because they look similar. They both have the Jewish schnoz, as we say in the movie. And so they have this like, cadence about them. I'm like, all right, you guys playing father son would be great. And Burt was like so down. He was just like he loved doing the short film with us, and he loved seeing himself on screen that he was so down. He's like, when are we doing the movie? When are we doing the movie? So eventually, after about 3 years of developing and meeting Bert's actual roommate Steve, who also ends up starring in the movie, which is kind of crazy. He's never acted before either. We shot at their actual house in Sun Valley here in California. They're playing roommates like they are in real life. So a lot of that was just coming out of this circumstance and then putting Oliver in there to play the son, the long lost son who shows up in the beginning and says, hey, you're my dad. It all kind of fell in place. And back to the Parkinson's thing real quick. My father has Parkinson's in real life as well. So the timing of this is quite interesting because when we started thinking about a movie with Burt, he didn't have Parkinson's. He was just a guy that we loved and we loved his music. But as the years went on and he said, hey, look, I have Parkinson's. He's dealing with it great, like my father is too. All you can do is just do your best, right? But it became part of the movie a little bit. It's not a movie about Parkinson's, but his character, like in real life, he's a singer-songwriter in the movie as well with Parkinson's. And so we tap on it. And as I was making the movie, I was also living with my father, helping take care of him a couple years ago. So it was all hand in hand. It was a very interesting, very sort of surreal process, living it and making it.
Very, very true. Now, of course, you guys mentioned before that you love to work with amateur actors, and obviously Bert and Steve are amateur actors, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of patience to work with amateur actors. So, how do you both handle amateur actors on a production set, whether you're directing them or acting with them?
Sure.
Well,
Go
I
ahead, Alex.
think amateur actor sounds kind of like they don't know what they're doing necessarily, but I think it's it's an interesting thing where they're almost like it's almost like working with kids. It's just there's something sometimes they're technically speaking they maybe don't know. Okay, hit your mark, or you guys like make sure you're looking at make sure you're opening up to the camera. Things like that can be like you have to almost coach them through that stuff. But there's something almost childlike and they give you these they almost sometimes they can be better than professional actors because they're not almost as a professional actor you can have bad habits and you can have like these you kind of have this idea of what you want the performance to be. And I think sometimes they Bert and Steve would give me stuff that like surprised the hell out of me. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think, like almost make me break character because it's like I didn't see that coming. That's a really interesting line reading, or that's a really interesting way of doing that scene. So it can be a beautiful thing. But Joe has a real knack for working with these people and making them comfortable, so they almost don't feel like we're making a movie. It feels like a living room. We're just hanging out with our friends, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. We shot this movie gig in 7 days with only a three-person crew. It was very intimate. So when we're inside their house shooting this with a couple small cameras just off to the corner, like Oliver's saying, we're trying to create an environment where they can be themselves. Obviously we're giving them direction. We're saying, hey, this is what the scene's about, but they're not actually reading a script. Like the script is just private for me and Oliver and our cinematographer Kenji, who did a great job filming this movie. It's a very private script, so we are kind of just saying, here's what's going on in the scene. Here's your mark. Here's what we need to have happen. And because we're casting people specifically to play kind of versions of themselves, it's their personality they already inherent that they already have that we want to pull out of them. And so it allows us to do these kind of cool little movies where and then Oliver being a professional actor, working with big directors, doing big studio movies, he comes in and he knows what we have to get in the scenes. So it's kind of interesting where he'll sort of almost like yes and these other people, these other actors, and make sure that he is kind of guiding the scene to the right spot, knowing where we have to get. And so he's sort of having a professional actor work with these guys is what allows us to kind of sail through the scene successfully, if that makes sense.
In some ways, it's harder for me as an actor because they're so real and they're so lived in that I'm coming in as this like actor guy trying to fit into their unique world. That was more of a concern for me than anything. I was like, if I'm the one sore thumb that that feels like a real actor or feels like this actory guy in this movie that has so much texture. I was so worried about that. I didn't want to be the guy. I wanted to feel like, oh yeah, like here's another weird character in this movie. Like I didn't want to be that one guy. I was like, oh no, that's the actor. Okay, like that was important to me. So
Now, when it comes to this, with the script and them as actors, do they do a lot of improv, or they stick mainly with the script as much as they can, or is
Yeah,
it
sure.
Oliver sticks with the script and improvs
Yeah.
along with them at the same time? I mean, what's the process like with you guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, yeah, we have a 30-page, extremely detailed outline, but we're not telling them what to say specifically because the way they speak, the way they say things in real life is what we want to capture. So, they know what the scene's about. We are guiding them. Oliver knows what's going on, and what Oliver called it, which I kind of like, he's sort of like you're sort of if it's a scene between Oliver and Burt, Oliver's calling me the third actor behind the camera, meaning toss out a line of dialogue, toss out something for Bert to do. So like I'm kind of like it's almost like real life, like almost like painting.
puppeteering.
Yeah, puppeteering or painting, where it's like it's all in the moment. It's like right here, right now. Bert, look at him and tell him you love him. I love you. All right, but say it like you're really excited. I love you. Great. And I'm editing the movie as well, so I know what I need to get. I know what pieces I need to get. And because we're shooting two cameras, which is kind of making this possible, we're doing cross shooting. So we have one camera on this character, one camera on this character, so we can interject and get options. And then I go to the editing room and take all the pieces and obviously edit together to make this beautiful movie. But it is interesting, and I love it. Oliver loves it because there is such like a magic to it where you know what you're going in to get. But like, I
Yeah.
can give you a couple examples later.
Well,
Like, there's a couple scenes that popped up just out of circumstance where it's like, oh, his neighbor rides by on a bicycle who knows Bert. He says, "Hey, Bert." We're like, "Hey, would you want to be in the movie?" He's like, "Sure." So we have him sign a actor release form. 10 minutes later, he's acting in the movie with Bert.
I
And
also
it's
think
yeah,
that when you're doing something very scripted, which I've done a lot of, it's you can find you dream of finding like these moments where you're like some mistake happens that really like you're probably your favorite movies. You don't even realize a moment might be like you're one of your favorite moments in a movie might be like just a mistake that that like happened on set. Something dropped, and you can't just ignore that. You have to play that moment, and acting is moment to moment. And I think when you do these kind of movies, and why I really like doing these, we're in this movie we capture more authentic moments than you would normally in a real movie because we are that our movie lives and dies on those moments. So that's the whole reason we shot it like this is to
right.
capture as many of these beautiful authentic moments with Bert and Bert in real life is this guy who you hang out with him for 10 minutes and you're like he has so many of those moments. He's so authentically himself that
Yeah.
he can't not like Bert can't act. He can't not be himself. Like he can't. You can't have Bert be something he's not. He just. And that's what makes him so compelling. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm equally impressed the fact that the production only took 7 days, and for you, Oliver, because actors try to develop chemistry with other actors, and in this case,
Yeah.
I want to say you've been developing chemistry with Bert for years, but of course, Steve is probably much shorter time. Could you talk about that? That
Right.
when you walk onto the set, develop the chemistry with them, so this way you could have that natural, relationship on screen.
Well, like I said, I've known Burt for a long time. Like, we weren't best friends or anything like that, but I've known him and I've hung out with him. And Burt's such an easy. Actually, I would say both of us are pretty easy to get. Like I can get along with most people, and he's just an easy guy to talk to and hang out with. And I find him. I think also the thing is, I find him fascinating. So it's easy for me to want to be in his presence and so even before the movie, I think I spent a couple times without even I can't remember, maybe even without Joe. I went and met up with him. I remember going to lunch with him. I can't remember a couple times. I can't remember if you were with us or not, Joe.
There was a few times where you guys got
Yeah,
together, some like rehearsals and stuff.
I was kind of yeah, because I was also working on the character myself. I was like, oh, trying to find the common ground. But yeah, like I said, having knowing a guy for a long time helps. That obviously it makes it easier. And then with Steve, honestly, I didn't really need to have much of a relationship with him because my character doesn't have a relationship with him, and there's a bit of a contentiousness between us that honestly, like, it helped that that I was. The thing is, as a producer on this movie, I was also like shooting it at Steve's house, which he owns. Kind of was created like a lot of like anxiety because I'm like, this guy doesn't want me. He didn't want us to mess up his place, obviously, and a film crew in your house is not an easy thing. So they're really like I was always like, oh shit, I'm sorry, Steve, I don't want to like get in your space, blah, blah, blah. There was always that feeling of like not wanting to step on his toes, and that kind of helps the character because that's my character in this movie. I'm like, this guy doesn't want me at his house. That's really like the dynamic we have, which is funny. You need that tension. That's what creates a lot of humor and drama. So.
Now, like I mentioned before, 7 day production is very impressive, and not to mention that according to the notes, what 7K production is. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a pure example of guerrilla filmmaking. Why do you guys love this? I'm actually impressed the fact that for 7K in 7 days, you guys got a full film. I think short films have bigger budgets than this.
Totally. It's
Yeah,
so true.
totally.
It's so true. I mean, I'll be honest. Part of it is necessity too. It's like, we wanted to make a movie and I was like, hey, could you do this for $7,000? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I said yes before I even really figured out exactly how, but I knew we could. And,
Well,
I
Joe did a short film with me. I think this is what actually made me think we could do it. He did a short film called Desert Quarantine during the pandemic, and we shot it for like no money. I mean, literally, I think he shot it for no money. I barely I didn't produce or any. I just acted in it, and I was like, he was a one-man crew, and I kind of realized like I've always been someone like you don't need all this fluff of a film set. Like you can do a lot with a little, especially with cameras today and all the stuff. I was like, really, what you need is a sound guy and a really good DP. We can do natural lighting, and that's kind of how we did it. And everyone on the film was working in a way where like they, as long as they got hot meals and were getting paid something, they were happy to be there because they thought we were making something cool. And we just made it happen.
Yeah, and also we're trying, the big thing is going to be like, okay, so what is distribution like nowadays, right? Because that's where everything's going is like, how do you do distribution and are we doing self-distribution and stuff like that? And so everything's changed in the industry, as you know, and everything, all the way independent film's been going. So there's a last piece of this chapter for us in this adventure of Burt is like, we did the pre-production, we did the production, we made the movie, we're premiering this Sunday at Cinequest. But the question now is like, how do you get a little movie like this into the mainstream sort of audience, so to speak? And it's gonna be interesting, and we can follow up with you when we figure it out because we're gonna probably release it this summer. But we think there's a real opportunity because the budget is so low that if we do some self-distribution and some real legwork and go around the country doing screenings and teaming up with Parkinson's organizations, which we're already talking to, and really just finding a way to kind of tap into the audience and bring Burt's soul and spirit and music to the world, that with such a small budget film, hopefully there's a way to kind of make some money on the back
Yeah.
end, make money for Parkinson's, make money for ourselves, and make it into a model where we can do this again. We can do it again, maybe not as low as $7,000, so our crew can get paid a little bit more. But like, find a way where you keep the costs low. We do a lot ourselves. Oliver and I are writing it. Oliver and I are producing it. I'm directing it. I'm helping shoot it with our DP Kenji. I'm editing it. We're doing so much on our own, and then we bring in our great composer Tim and our sound designer Sean. So we have a good little core team here, but Yeah, I mean, like Oliver said, like we were in the desert for 4 days during the pandemic, just me and him and a couple of Halloween masks of monsters making a zombie movie called Desert Quarantine. That yeah, we had one light, one camera, a couple of Halloween masks, just the two of us, and we did realize, yeah, you can do it. And I teach film school, so I've been doing the whole teaching film school for 10 years. I'm a film professor, so I'm also kind of like I have a little bit of a special grasp on how to do it, just teaching it, and knowing exactly what you need and what you don't need, so to speak, if that makes sense. So. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the backstory.
Well, you guys certainly pull it off. So on the aesthetic side, tell us about the decision to make it black and white.
Well, I
Sure.
think so. We shot I can't remember if I talked about this already, but we had shot a little test footage. So me, Joe, and the two actors, Burt and Steve, we went to their house and we're like, let me just try. I kind of wanted to try see how I fit into that world and kind of try out the character or whatever. And just walked around his house with no real plan of what we were actually shooting, just getting us kind of communicating together and trying to figure out what the story would be. And Joe, went home, and I can't remember if you edited something. Maybe I think he did edit something together. It was kind of rough, but it was like 10-15 minutes of footage. And he sent it to me, and I think am I remembering this correct,
You,
Joe?
you, you, you may have said try black and white.
I think
I
I
think the
did,
black and white
yeah.
came out of the test shoot for sure. It was sort of like so. There's two things here. One, it felt so right in black and white, just like the timeless quality, seeing their house, seeing them on screen, their beautiful, interesting faces in black and white. That and Oliver had a good instinct on that. Artistically, it's absolutely correct. We are also aware that black and white movies just aren't as profitable to a certain extent nowadays because everything's in color and flashy in this, but there might be a little bit of a nuance, kind of like an old
Purely
school.
artistic. It was purely artistic, like thinking this just feels like I want to see these guys in black and white. Like it just added such a he was able to make the footage black and white that we already shot. And I was like, it was just something I couldn't take my eyes off it. And I was like, yeah, like, and I think this whole movie, nothing we did about this movie was like considering making money. It was just
No, no, it was all purely creative.
purely
And
creative.
then the second reason why black and white is because it allowed us to do it in 7 days for 7K with a three-person crew. We don't have to do big lighting setups. We don't have to worry about color temperature. We can go out there and embrace the couple few lights we had and the natural light and get more bang for a buck, if you will. So we didn't have to spend half a day doing all these lighting setups because we only had 7 days. So it
Yeah.
was a little bit of practical, but mainly artistic to do something black and white. And I think it's gorgeous. I mean, again, our cinematographer Daniel Kenji Levin just he elevated this project so much. Like we knew Oliver and I were going to do this cool little movie. But when he came on as our cinematographer, he really did something special with how beautiful this
Yeah,
film.
we were really lucky to have him because at first I think we were just like, let's just run and gun, we'll shoot. Like there was even a version where
I shot the test footage, which was good, but it was a little rougher than what Kenji brought this real beautiful cinematic, sort of look to it, which was
yeah,
great.
yeah, we were really lucky to have him. He brought a ton. Honestly, you can almost say anyone who worked on this movie brought a ton to it because there
Yeah.
is no like this is a movie where there's no link that wasn't important. Like you needed everybody to make like we have no movie without the sound. We have no movie without our DP and the minimal actors. We only had like every actor who comes in, even if I had a friend come in for just like a day, they brought so much to the
Oh
to
yeah,
the movie. Like
they rocked it.
it really was one of those things where there's not one interaction in the movie where it's like where someone just goes, oh, you don't really think about that character or whatever. It's like
Right, right.
so.
Well, it is beautiful and gorgeous. Well, let me highlight one last major thing because obviously Bert is very happy the fact that his music gets to be showcased in this film.
Yeah.
Talk about working with Bert on which songs and how he should actually present himself on screen for his
Yeah, it's a
music.
great question. So there's three in the movie. There's three live performances Bert does that take place in the movie, which is part of the storyline. And I'll work backwards. Our final song in the movie is my favorite song of Bert's that we had in our short film years back that he was also part of called Improving On. And it's such a beautiful song about life and getting older and aging. It was in a lot of ways probably my big inspiration on why I really wanted to make a movie with Burt and get his music out there. Is I listened to the song over and over and over, and I was like, this song deserves to be heard. It's a beautiful song, and so that became kind of the more pivotal scene in the second half of the movie. No spoilers, but when people watch it, they'll know what I'm talking about. And then he had a couple other songs that we listened to over the last few years, and it just his song "Freedom," which opens the movie. It's the cold open of the film. He's playing outside a coffee bagel shop in Sherman Oaks, where he actually worked for real at the time, and the owner of the place was great and let us shoot there. But it was a song called "Freedom" that he wrote during COVID, which was just a beautiful song that came out of his heart during those times. So I was like, let's start with "Freedom," and in the middle is one of his classic songs as well, and then improving on. So it was just a conversation. It was just sort of me listening to his music. It's interesting. Again, Burt is like, he's this unsung hero. He doesn't even have any real professional recordings. I mean, he should, but like, the best recordings of his music are maybe in this movie, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just cannot wait, truly cannot wait for Burt to have his moment. I mean, he's been working hard for 50 years at this. He started playing, guitar when he was 10 years old or whatever it was. And now he's 71. He's my dad's age, and he's flying in for the premiere on Sunday. He's going to be at Cinequest. He's going to be in San Jose. People can meet the real life legend Burt Berger, and I'm just so excited for him to. And by the way, here's the crazy thing: he's never seen the movie. He's never seen the movie. He's never seen a shot of the movie. He's never seen a trailer. He knows nothing. We wanted to surprise him, so he's going to be sitting there in this big theater.
Even though he could go on our website and watch the trailer, he wouldn't even know how to do that.
Yeah, right. So I just cannot wait. I cannot wait for him to have his moment this weekend. He really is going to be the star of the show, and I'm so excited for this.
You know what? It's going to be a splendid weekend for everyone here. So what's up next with you gents?
Yeah, I mean, Oliver and I have a couple scripts that we've written that we're really excited about that are starting to kind of get a little bit of traction and do a couple of rewrites, and maybe one's a family kind of like in the vein of Burt, kind of a family holiday comedy that we're really excited about. One's a little bit more of kind of a fun thriller, dark kind of thriller comedy. And so for me personally, it's sort of like using Burt to be like, hey, look, we did this for very little, but it's a beautiful little movie, and we'd love to get some money to make an opportunity to make my third feature as a director. And so that's one thing in terms of collaboration. Oliver and I are working on some stuff.
Yeah, and then just for me, just also on the side, just working on I have a couple other projects and then acting stuff. I just did a movie, a Blumhouse movie called Soulmate, that is a Megan spinoff that's coming out, I think, top of next year. And then just trying to, always trying to find work. That's the nature of the actor.
So true, so true. And one thing that's actually kind of funny because for you, Oliver, there was an early project in your career called Project X, and it's actually funny is because my profile picture on my Pinterest, which says a lot that I haven't changed a profile picture, is actually the dog in the bounce house.
Whoa!
And it's still that picture. For some unknown reason, that dog amuses me so much in Project X.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I just don't know why. I just back then I think I just keep on replaying the trailer with that song and the dog bouncing up and down, and I was like going, okay, you know what? The face of that dog has to be my profile picture.
That's awesome. That's so funny. What a small world.
But
we're excited. We're excited, and look, we really appreciate you bringing us on here and letting us chat. And if I may just quickly plug the website, it's just burtthemovie.com, burtthemovie.com. People can watch the trailer. There's tickets for Cinequest there, and then coming up, we have Phoenix Film Festival in April and Florida Film Festival end of April, and then back to LA probably early June for a film festival. So we got a bunch of film festivals lined up, and then release the movie officially this summer, which people want to keep in touch. They can enter their email on the website and have it be part of the kind of the cool support group that will let people know.
Yep.
Well, you guys enjoy Cinequest this weekend. I know Burt's going to really appreciate it.
I know
I'm
so excited to see him there. So
So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Gig. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Gig.